Good morning, guys, and welcome to the first post for Bobby V Real Estate TV. And I had the privilege of sitting down with Jennifer King at Waterstone Mortgage this past weekend and got to ask her a bunch of questions that I know that a lot of my customers and clients have, and that I know that I've had in the past as well. So I got to sit down with her, kind of start decoding some of the mysteries of loans, mortgages, interest rates, and things like that. So had a great time interviewing Jennifer, and we have a lot more coming from Jennifer. As a matter of fact, we had too much fun, and our interview went a little long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the interview into a couple of different posts, and I'll be posting those here again probably on Friday and on Monday. So today we're talking about pre-qualification and pre-approval, and what's the difference between the two? Is one better than the other, and why it's important to have one instead of the other before shopping for a house. I know some of you are out there shopping for a house without talking to a loan officer first. So you might want to listen to this one real quick. So hope you sit back and enjoy. Hope you enjoy it. And I've put Jennifer's information in the description below, as well as mine. If you have any questions, feel free to text her, call her, email her, or me, either one. And we would love to sit down and talk to you and answer your questions. If you just have a quick question, just put them in the comments below, and we will address those as soon as we see them. So sit back, enjoy, and talk to you later. All right. Hi, guys, and welcome to Bobby V Real Estate. And I am Bobby V. And with me today is Jennifer King with Waterstone Mortgage. Not only is she an amazing loan officer, but she's a dear friend of mine, and I highly recommend her. Full disclosure, I use her for my own personal stuff. So, just so you know that all of that's out there. Jennifer, so I found that whenever we have customers call us as realtors and they sit there and say, okay, hey, can you come and show me, this house at 123 Humana Street? And my first question is always, great, I would love to show you that house. Have you been pre-approved? What is the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification, and which is better to have before you start looking for a home?
Good question. And it's always good to know what you're shopping for before you go shopping. I think we've all been in a spot where we found anything, a dress or a toaster or something that we can't afford, and then you have your heart set on it and you go back to go buy it, and for whatever reason you can't afford it, or it's more than you thought it was, or it's just not quite where you were at as far as when you were shopping. So I think always know where you're going. Always know what you're shopping for, what price point you're looking for. Right. And another thing that I think that people forget is sometimes they're qualified for something that they're not comfortable with. Right. So, for example, on paper, you could be qualified for a much more expensive home than what you are actually comfortable with. Right. So I think it's very, very important when you're getting pre-approved or getting pre-qualified, if you will, that you also find out what that payment will be. So if, for example, you are pre-qualified for $200,000, that sounds fantastic, but you might not like that payment. You may not feel comfortable with what that payment is. So always know everything. Always know the payment. Always know, it helps to know the taxes. The property taxes make
that's a huge one. Taxes always seem to come back to bite people.
Absolutely, and you will be so excited about a purchase price, and then come to find out it's way above what you're wanting, because those property taxes are way higher than what you originally thought. Right. So again, always kind of do your homework before. Yeah. And going back to your question, the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval. Pre-qualification is something that you can kind of do over the phone. I am trusting you to tell me that you make this amount of money. And I am trusting you to tell me that this is what you made last year and this is how long you've been at your job. So with those words, I can then say, great, you're going to go shopping today. You've just called me today. based on what you've just told me, and I pull your credit report, I'm going to let Bobby know that you're okay to go shopping as far as we know. A pre-approval takes maybe a little bit longer, so it's not maybe something that you can just call on the phone and do in 10 minutes.
Right.
A full pre-approval will be reviewing documents, looking at those taxes, looking at your pay stub, looking, a lot of times people will say, I make $20,000 a month, but they're including overtime and commissions that we can't use.
You can't use those.
I can't use
right,
those.
Right.
So it just helps to review the documents to really see where somebody truly really is.
Perfect.
And then that way we can really give you a clear idea of where you're at, as opposed to just kind of listening. We can do that, absolutely. I can talk to you on a Friday night at 9 o'clock if you'd like, and I will try to get everything I can.
Right.
But if you want a full pre-approval, which looks really good to a seller, yes.
Right. Yes.
So
Absolutely.
then we're going to go through and we're going to look at your documents, and we're going to do a file review on those
Right.
documents.
So whenever somebody starts to go shopping, before they call their realtor, they need to probably have that pre-approval in hand prior, other than just a pre-qual. I got a thing in the mail just the other day from a national brand that said, you're pre-qualified for $382,000, and I'm like, I can't even get a pencil right now.
Right, and that's kind of the thing. They're looking at just generalizations of things that are public about you, and they're making an assumption. And chances are, if you were to call that place back, they're probably going to ask for a full application. So,
and at that point, I personally get turned down. So
right, well, or we'll all get turned down, right up then. But if you want to be able to really wow the seller, and as we move out of the busy summer season, it's gonna there'll be less offers going in on each property, and it won't be so competitive. But during the summertime, man, there was a little while there where houses were going off the market in a day. And at
absolutely.
that time, it really helped you to have a pre-approval for that seller to know that this was just not maybe, that it was a for sure thing. And
I had that situation happen to me where I had a home that I had listed. I got 3 offers in one day, and I looked at the 3. 2 of them only had pre-qualifications. I had one that had a pre-approval. My sellers decided to go with the pre-approval because they knew that was money in the hand.
There is nothing worse than getting to the day before closing. I mean, I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Fetal position 12th hour is what I like to call it. So
exactly.
Nobody wants to do that. And if you have the opportunity to provide your documentation to your loan officer, give them full disclosure of what you made last year, your W-2s, we can really get you in a spot where all we're going to need whenever you put that contract in is an appraisal, and that's a good place to be. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and that to a realtor, if a buyer calls me out of the blue or sends me a Facebook message and says, hey, can you show me this house at 123 Humana Street, and they say, hey, I've seen Jennifer King and I have a pre-approval, let's
go shopping.
Let's go look at houses all day long. I'm good with that.
Right.
If they call me and say, hey, this national brand sent me this letter in the mail, says I'm pre-qualified, I'm like, I need you to call a loan officer and figure this out.
Yeah. So. And that's not to say anything about anybody and that you're prejudging them or automatically assuming anything. It's just that a lot of times people will look great, and then there'll be something on paper that is like, you have to wait. And, that there's a lot of that happens. There's some kind of, there's reports and things that people show up on that they don't realize that they're on, and it creates a waiting period for them that they're not aware of.
Right.
And so it's just really important to go ahead
and that happened to me personally.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that I had some things on my credit. I had no clue that those were even there. And you look it up and go, hey, did you know that you had this and this and this? And I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Right.
Well, now I have to wait a little while to go back in and figure all of this out. So.
And people, and that's the thing. People want to do good. People want to make great changes. But if you don't know it's there, you can't fix it. So that's the first. The first thing is knowing, and then if you have to wait a couple. I have lots of buyers who maybe started with me 6 months ago, and right now we're putting in a contract.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine, and I love working with people like that.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I love working with you too, because I know I can send somebody to you, and even if they don't have their credit is not in the place that it needs to be, that you'll be patient and work with them to get them to where they need to be.
That's my favorite. That's actually feels like that's like an accomplishment to me. I feel like at the end we're like, yes, we did it.
You're in your home.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, exactly.